For generations, Ethiopia has been known as the birthplace of coffee. Today, it has reached another historic milestone. For the first time in its history, coffee export earnings have exceeded $3 billion. This achievement did not happen by chance. It reflects years of determination by farmers, cooperatives, exporters, investors, and public institutions working together to improve quality, strengthen traceability, expand certification, and meet the growing global demand for Ethiopian coffee. It is an achievement worthy of recognition. But every major economic success raises an important question. What should come next? Should the next goal simply be to export more coffee? Or is it time to think differently about the value that coffee creates? To answer that question, we first need to understand how the global coffee economy actually works. Every day, millions of cups of coffee are served across cafes, restaurants, offices, airports, and homes around the world. Together, they generate an industry worth well over $200 billion each year. Yet the countries where coffee is grown capture only a portion of that value. Why? The answer is not found in the coffee bean alone. It is found in everything that happens after the bean leaves the farm. Coffee does not become a premium product overnight. It passes through processing, roasting, packaging, branding, distribution, and retail. Each stage adds value. Each stage creates new economic opportunities, and each stage determines who captures a larger share of the wealth created by a single coffee bean. That journey from farm to consumer is the story behind every cup of coffee. To understand where value is created, we need to follow the journey of a single coffee bean. That journey begins in the highlands of Ethiopia, months before anyone orders a cup of coffee. Farmers prepare the land, care for the trees, protect the crop from pests and disease, and harvest each ripe coffee cherry by hand. The harvested cherries are sorted, washed, dried, and carefully prepared for export. By this stage, Ethiopia has produced one of the world's finest agricultural products. But the journey is only beginning. Once the green coffee beans leave the farm, they enter a much larger economic system. They move through exporters, shipping companies, international traders, industrial roasting facilities, packaging plants, distribution networks, and finally, retail businesses. At every stage, additional work is performed, additional services are provided, additional value is created. By the time that same coffee reaches the consumer, it has become far more than an agricultural commodity. It has become a branded product, a retail experience, a global business. The bean may begin its journey on an Ethiopian farm, but its economic journey continues long after it leaves the country. Understanding that difference is the key to understanding the modern coffee economy. The value of coffee is not created at a single moment. It grows, step by step, throughout the journey from farm to consumer. Processing improves consistency, roasting develops flavor, packaging protects quality, branding builds recognition, distribution makes products available across global markets. Retail connects the product with the customer. Each stage contributes something new. Each stage increases what consumers are willing to pay. By the time a cup of coffee reaches a cafe, the customer is paying for far more than the beans alone. They are paying for convenience, consistency, service, atmosphere, trust, and a brand they recognize. This helps explain one of the defining characteristics of the modern coffee economy. The greatest financial returns are often earned by those who control the stages closest to the consumer. That does not diminish the importance of the farmer. Without the farmer, there is no coffee. But growing the coffee and capturing the highest share of its value are not necessarily the same thing. That is the distinction between production and value capture. And it is this distinction that shapes the economics of the global coffee industry. Ethiopia's record coffee exports demonstrate what coordinated national effort can achieve. Higher production, better quality, improved traceability, stronger international recognition. These accomplishments provide a foundation for the next stage of development. The next question is not simply how to grow more coffee. It is how to create more value from the coffee that is already being produced. That does not mean abandoning raw coffee exports. Global demand for Ethiopian green coffee will remain important. But alongside that success, new opportunities can continue to emerge. More domestic roasting, more value-added processing, more Ethiopian brands reaching international consumers, more investment in packaging, quality control, marketing, and specialty coffee. $3 billion is a record. It proves that Ethiopia can compete in global markets. But here is the strategic question. What if Ethiopia did not just strive to increase export volume? What if it simultaneously carved out ownership of the downstream value chain? Currently, Ethiopia captures roughly 1.5% of the final retail value of its own coffee. Now imagine a parallel strategy. Ethiopia continues to grow its raw exports, but also builds domestic roasting, packaging, branding, and direct-to-market channels. They target ownership of 20% of the finished product value chain. The global retail coffee market is worth over $200 billion. 20% of that market is $40 billion. Even if Ethiopia captures half of that, just 10%, the outcome is $20 billion flowing directly back into the Ethiopian economy. That is not just a revenue number. That is new roads, new hospitals, new schools, and hundreds of thousands of stable jobs for the next generation. The difference between $3 billion of raw exports and $20 billion of retained value is not just arithmetic. It is the difference between being a commodity supplier and becoming a global economic player. That is the next chapter of Ethiopia's coffee story, and perhaps the next chapter of its economic story as well.